Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dragon's Rest. I am your host, Selenvo the Silver Dragon, and we're going to read off for our 500 subscribers another tale, much like the last Dragon's Rest episode was. A work of my own creation. Alright, here we go. Stretched thin. What is your greatest enemy? Is it a person, an object, or a concept? The reality of my own furious villain is something so mundane as to be commonplace, but yet it is a foe with claws so deeply embedded into my being that every day I struggle for freedom from their accursed grasp. This is a story of my integrity at war with procrastination, in which I find no lasting peace. No, there is not an end that I can see where it is finally slain, but instead resides unrelentingly in every passing thought. I cry out in vain, for there is none that can accost this villain from my mind. But I can at least take pride in those small victories I claim over its hide. Years ago I strove for a project that took what felt like eons of my time to complete. A whole month spent in assembling a single StarCraft map. It is so small an achievement that no one would ever see the greatness of it, but in it I reside one of my greatest accomplishments and a pride from victory over this nemesis. The 3 months preceding my effort into this map was in fact part of the time invested in planning it out. Admittedly, I was done planning day one, but my enemies seduced me away from my task with a carved maze that led nowhere. I knew what I needed to do, but it was so difficult to resist my internal foe. I had mentioned that I wanted to make this map to my friend, Zegian. He was stoked for the whole idea, as beautiful pieces of work my preceding maps are. But I knew so much more about map-making at this point that my next work could and would be something spectacular compared to everything that came before. Eventually, with his inquiries as to whether I had began or not, I finally worked up the nerve to get started on the project. Typing away with the clacking of each key echoing under my fingernails from beneath the desk that towers over me, I stared down my dimly glowing monitor like a gallant warrior laying a threatening gaze on his opponent. My chair squeaked and groaned under my weight as I would shift positions every few minutes. I tore down unrelentingly line after line of programming for the map to understand with each passing trigger. I sometimes would lean back to stretch and observe the room I sat in for hours at a time. This room is not my bedroom, but in fact the living room. It is very clean and orderly, save for this avalanche paused in time in the one corner of the room that houses my computer. This is where I bled, cried, and strived for my goal. But every hour spent, my nemesis opened wounds in my flesh as I tested the map over and over, to ensure each individual command worked as intended, to make sure every player can achieve what is needed. It, however, was not a task so easily finished in one sitting. No. Day after day goes by. I find myself wanting to do anything, everything else other than this, but my lone desire, the need to make this map, and my determination as my only guide, I refuse myself the leisure. I can't stop now. Not now. The moment I do, I fear another lapse of my procrastination taking over, and another project that would be buried underneath the terror of trying to bring it back from the depths. I already delayed the production of this map too long. However, with no one to hear each desperate gasp of my own growing insanity, I slowly began to fail until my friend stepped in again. Zegian, the one I'd crafted this map for, as well as the only solace I have from its embiggening list of trigger functions that I had completed and had yet to finish. He broke my time spent on the map by talking of his own fight with madness, the random requests for a video game, and to bring forth his support of my efforts. My stress demanded mercy, but I gave it no quarter save for those moments. They granted me sanity and peace during the endless conflict between me and the beast. Unfortunately, I cannot recollect the words spoken between us, as it is too empty of compacted sense to make a safe gab into each statement. It is as though the way we communicate is alien to what socially is normal, not to mention my passing memories of these times leaves them as hazy and difficult to see through as opaque glass, cloudy with soot from an ever-raging bonfire. Regardless, Zegian was the only friend I had at the time, and this was in a way my gift to him. A tool for our stories to make their manifestation on was the board, the rules, and the backstory for every achievement we would ever cement on this map and its successors. It took all the knowledge of every preceding map, whether mine or that of other creators, then weighed them and bonded them together in a fashion that stretched the limits of what was, is, and ever would be roleplay maps in StarCraft. Never yet did I see someone produce a greater product, and honestly, I am filled with some measure of pride over my achievement even now. The only thing that leaves me with regret was the lack of motivation to release the map publicly, so that all could see the love and care I gave it. So, as I stand, my final victory with this map's construction was short, but filled with a deep, savory flavor that lasted for years to come. My friend and I played, reused, and redesigned the map so many times as to make it 100-fold the worth of it, the effort I spent into it. This is ultimately the how that I have a victory over my enemy, that is procrastination. Despite each passing hour that it torments me, I know that in my heart of hearts that I can win through sheer determination. It may defeat me, it may overcome me, but it shall not win the war. Tell me, what is your worst enemy, and how have you beaten it before? And that was Stretched Thin by myself. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and maybe, just maybe, it could help you be inspired to combat your worst procrastination. I feel I might rewrite the whole story a little bit here and there if I were to update it to at some point in my life here and now, but it still is pretty good, and I felt it would be nice to share it. So there you go. I'll be recording. Selenvo out.